So She-Hulk is divisive, which is something I feel like I'm saying every time a new MCU project comes out. And it's true, people either seem to love them and defend them with all their hearts like I often do, or they seem to hate them. They feel like Marvel has either fallen victim to progressive agendas nowadays, or that it's just gotten boring after Phase 3. Now there's already a lot of debate and a lot of impressions around She-Hulk, but there's only been like 4 episodes out, and the 4th episode came out literally an hour ago by the time I recorded this, so I've just watched it. But it seems like people have already made up their minds. It's either great or it's bad. But the thing is, a lot of the like ultra positive feedback is more of a response to the ultra negative and hateful feedback it's been getting before it even came out. I mean, we've seen the fandom menace go at it. We've seen Ben Shapiro making videos on it. There's people on Twitter going crazy about it. There's a bunch of people make video essays saying that this is the end of Marvel as we know it, and it's always She-Hulk in the thumbnail as if this is like the final straw. But today we're just going to be discussing She-Hulk so far. We're going to talk a bit about the controversy surrounding it and what my thoughts are on it in general. Now you may be wondering why I'm showing my face, because I don't do that very often. And to be honest, I was just getting bored. For so long now I've been doing scripted videos without showing my face, and I like them. I like making those videos, but it just got a little bit repetitive. Now last time I showed my face, you guys memed the hell out of me on my Discord, and this time I have way more subscribers and way more haters than I did back then. So we're gonna see how that goes. I don't even know if I'm gonna keep on doing this, but if I do, I'll still be making scripted videos, don't worry about that. But yeah, let me know what you think of this video down below. But without further ado, let's get on to the video. So, how is She-Hulk so far? Now the big elephant in the room is the CGI. It's what everyone's talking about, and yes, it doesn't look very good. At least the She-Hulk part of it. It's very awkward, it just doesn't look real, and it's honestly a growing trend within the MCU, and I hope they fix this. Just give the VFX artists more time to actually do their job, make it look realistic. But the thing is, the CGI doesn't really matter that much in this show at least, because it's more comedy driven, it's more sitcom-y. It's not like a serious action like an Infinity War or a Civil War, you know, where bad CGI takes us out of the experience and out of the immersion. This just feels like more of a lighthearted comedy, and the fact that she looks so weird adds to the comedic factor. I mean, we're laughing at this show, and when you're laughing at a comedy show, even if it's intentional or not, I see that as a win. But one thing I haven't truly felt with this show so far is heart. I really like comedies, I like sitcoms, but I especially like when you have those moments where it feels real, it feels emotional, it feels like the creators are trying to say something meaningful. And there was a little bit of this in the first episode with the conversation, which we will get to, don't worry. And there was a little bit with Emil in the second episode. He was talking about his troubles and all that stuff. I was like, oh, there's might be something interesting there. Now I don't know if Emil's gonna come back or if that's the end of his arc, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope it gets a little bit more serious and impactful at times. The action so far in episodes 1 to 3 wasn't very good, and this is a problem with the CGI. The thing is, when She-Hulk looks so clumsy and awkward, it just looks weird when humans are trying to fight her, because it just looks like a mess. However, when we saw She-Hulk versus the Hulk, that was actually decent because it was 2 CGI monstrosities fighting each other. It looked better than like Venom versus Riot in the first Venom movie, because that shit was awful, but it was decent. But actually, in the 4th episode, the action is a little bit better. I think it just looks better when She-Hulk is fighting aliens or demons, other CGI stuff. But honestly, I like the concept so far. The whole breaking the 4th wall, the whole comedy, sitcom. I don't really like shows that have everything to do with law, like fucking Suits. I hate Suits. I like when there's like a subgenre of law. That's always interesting. But yes, but the 4th episode is honestly the best one so far, in my opinion. We just have a little bit more of Jennifer's struggles. We also have a little bit more of her character development. The thing is, she's a little bit self-centered at times, and that's natural when the world has put her on a pedestal so quickly. But she's also really feeling the effects of being super. She gets put on a pedestal, but no one really cares about her. And we see that in this episode. If you haven't watched it, I'm not going to say too much. All I'm going to say is that I'm jealous. But I think my expectations in the beginning were that this would be more like a typical Marvel show where there's a consistent story throughout. But I don't think that's the case. There might be at the end some bigger story, but throughout it I think it's just like more individual stories that just build up Jennifer and some of the other side characters, and it's just there for a little bit of a laugh. And I honestly thought episode 4 was better. It was funny. It honestly made me laugh at times, which I liked. Now let's talk a little bit about the internet's reaction to the show. I feel like She-Hulk never really stood a chance to begin with, because people hated on it before it even came out. And while some of it might be warranted, Most of it isn't. You can definitely tell that people were starting to get fatigued. We had Miss Marvel, which was very lighthearted. We had Thor Love and Thunder, which was also quite lighthearted. We had I Am Groot. And I know like this year we've already had Moon Knight, we've had Multiverse of Madness, which have all been quite serious at times. But yeah, I feel like people were just like, when are we gonna get back to like the important stuff that matters? And I can agree a bit. Like I want to get to like Black Panther, I want to get to some of the new like bigger stuff with Kang and Avengers, but like this is a harmless show, you know, and people just hated on it before it even came out. People like the Critical Drinker and the other fandom menace types. They made videos on YouTube and tweeted about how this show was already doomed before it ever came out. And it's just such a weird concept to me, hating on something before you've even given it a chance. Like, how are you not just gonna go in there and hate it? I know I do the opposite sometimes where like I show support for a show before it comes out and then I'm more likely to like it. But I think that's much better than negativity. Why would you want to hate something before it comes out? You're just gonna hate it. You're not giving it a chance. And I know not everyone agrees with me, but I think positivity is much better than negativity. I know it can get a little bit too much and a little bit toxic, but still better than negativity. When it comes to TV shows, right? This is not like a big debate about human nature. But yes, I think we need to talk about the moment that really solidified this debate and this divisiveness. The conversation between Jennifer and Bruce in the first episode. This is the one where she allegedly dismisses everything he's been through and just says that she's had a harder life than him. But this isn't really what happened. Now I'll try to show as much of that scene as I can without getting copyrighted, but just so you guys get a little bit of feel for it, if you've forgotten what happened.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult or might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
The thing is, I never saw this scene when I first watched it as her saying that she's better than Hulk, or that she's had a harder life than the Hulk. Rather, she's better at controlling and regulating her anger and emotions than the Hulk is. Which is just a fact, it's true. Bruce isn't very good at regulating his emotions, and that's not his fault. He's been through a lot of shit that has made it so. Obviously, Jennifer got a little ahead of herself. She didn't really take him into account, because he's been through a lot of shit. Been depressed, he's had suicidal thoughts, he's been manhunted, he's saved the world, he's been humiliated on like the biggest stage. He's had a split personality. He's had to fight his other half to have control of his own body for so long. He's been through things that the average person just cannot imagine. But what Jennifer is saying is that there's these small things that women on average go through every single day. They aren't as big as being hunted or wanting to kill yourself, but there's small things where if you lash out, if you let these small things anger you, it could have serious consequences for you as a woman. These are things such as catcalling or being spoken down to in the professional field. If you get angry while being catcalled, there could be consequences for you. People could act violent towards you. If you get angry and emotional in a professional field, then you're gonna be seen as unprofessional, which is fucked up, but that's just the reality. It's not that men don't have everyday struggles, we do. But women have a lot of these little things that are just constantly there because of the society we live in. The professional fields such as lawyers, doctors, politicians, they require women to not get emotional, which is fucking hypocritical because men get emotional all the time. Like Jennifer says, there can be serious consequences for women for acting out, such as losing their job, being abused, being harassed, or even being murdered. I know these aren't as big as the consequences that Bruce has had to deal with, which is the destruction of the world, killing himself, but it's these small things that she has to regulate on a regular basis every single day that Bruce doesn't have to do. And that's what she's saying she's better at. She's better at regulating these emotions. She's better at holding back her anger, which is just true. Obviously, she takes it a little bit too far when she says that she's infinitely better at regulating her emotions than Bruce is, because that's just not true. Obviously, that's an over-exaggeration. She's not perfect. Nobody is. She's not taking Bruce's feelings into account and his experiences into account. And also, there's another aspect of this. Bruce has severe mental issues. He has a split personality disorder. He's had to constantly battle his other half for years upon years. He lived so long as the Hulk. He was just in like the back of the mind trying to get out for so long. He's only just now found a little bit of peace between them. Jennifer is more stable. She hasn't had all these mental issues. She hasn't had this ultra traumatic life, but it means that she understands herself better. She's better at handling her emotions. So when there is a Jennifer and a She-Hulk, they're the same person. It's not that hard to figure out. I think people have way overblown this, which is what happens when any woman in a piece of media is talking about some issues that women deal with that men don't. I feel like a lot of men don't like hearing that. They got all uncomfortable. But why? Why does it matter that much? I might have missed something, alright? So let me know down in the comments if you disagree with me. But now let's talk about the post-credits scene in the 3rd episode, the one that people have also been talking about, where She-Hulk twerks with Megan Thee Stallion. And the thing is, this is literally just an end credit scene. It's supposed to be goofy. It's supposed to be weird and awkward and just a little thing for us to take away. It's not a serious moment. It's not a point of thought. It's the post-credit scene in the 3rd episode of a 9-episode series. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. I didn't watch this episode right away, but by the way people were talking about it, I thought it was like a big part of the episode. But no, it's literally just an end credit scene. It's harmless. I don't know why people are talking about it. It looks silly. It looks goofy. That's the point. It's funny. And if it's not funny, then so what? The real problem here is not, oh, look what they've done. We started with Iron Man and Captain America. Look where they've taken us to twerking and... Like, no, get over yourself. If there is an issue here, it's the VFX artists. They're getting worked to hell, and they've been worked to hell for years and years now. We need Marvel to have better standards. We need them to treat their workers better. I don't know why people got so angry. Personally, I just did not mind. I did not care. I don't know if you did. If you did, again, let me know. But yes, the last thing we're gonna talk about is, has the MCU died? Because this is something I'm seeing more and more, especially on YouTube videos being like, why I've fallen out of love with the MCU, or why the MCU is dead, or why feminism has ruined the MCU. And my question is, has it died though? People are still talking about it more so than ever. It's just as popular as it has always been. I honestly believe that once it gets hype again, once the Avengers movies comes out and stuff, people are gonna swarm back to the cinemas. Just because right now there aren't any stories that we really care too much about. But like, it's gonna come. People are gonna go back into the cinemas for Black Panther. I'm sure of it. And listen, I don't want to take anything away from people in this video, alright? If you don't like this show, that's completely perfect, okay? There are a bunch of valid reasons. You're not a misogynist just because you don't like it, alright? And you can also say that the MCU is just not the MCU anymore. You can be tired of it. You can be fatigued. If you don't want to watch it anymore, fine. If you want to make a video essay on it and talk about your feelings towards it, go ahead. I'm just seeing a lot of people saying that it's dead, but they're still talking about it, so I guess it's not dead. And every time something bad happens where people are like, this is why it sucks, no one's forcing you to watch She-Hulk. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But you know what, at the end of the day, I guess it's not that bad that people are angry. Because isn't being angry what the Hulk is really all about? But anyways, that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like this, let me know down in the comments. Go ahead and roast me down below. Let's just get it over with. I'm happy to hear it all. And hopefully I've given you guys something to think about. Let's start a little conversation. But yes, do all the things, leave a like, subscribe, go to my Patreon if you want to, support me further, it would mean a lot. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and peace out.